Boris Johnson resigned as leader of the Conservative Tories. He wants to remain British Prime Minister for the time being, though. But the pressure on him is high. So, our British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned as leader of his Conservative Party, but he wants to continue as Prime Minister until a successor is elected. Johnson said in London on Thursday. He himself was elected to office by his party almost 3 years ago. "I want you to know how sad I am to be leaving the best job in the world," he said. Shortly before his resignation, Johnson appointed new ministers. However, numerous party friends are calling for Johnson to step down as head of government immediately, and the opposition is demanding a new general election. The pressure on Johnson has grown enormously in recent days, and his cabinet is in tatters. More than a dozen ministers and 40 MPs have announced their resignation. British Finance Minister Nadhim Zahawi, who was appointed to office on Tuesday, publicly called on Johnson to resign on Thursday morning. "Prime Minister, in your heart you know what is right. Go now," he wrote in a letter published on Twitter. Most recently, on Thursday morning, the new British Minister of Education, Michelle Donnellan, announced her resignation after only 2 days in office. A few hours earlier, the British Minister for Northern Ireland, Brendan Lewis, and the British Secretary of State for Security, Damien Hinds, had announced their resignations in the morning. In his letter to Johnson, Hinds also called for the PM's resignation to restore confidence in democracy. "Because of their significant erosion, I have come to the conclusion that it is the right thing for our country and our party for you to step down as party leader and Prime Minister," he wrote. And former British Prime Minister John Major also called for the Prime Minister's immediate resignation on Thursday. I always want to say Mayor because I'm Deputy Mayor, but okay. Johnson should not remain in office until a successor has been found for the general good of the country, Major explains in an open letter. The suggestion that the Prime Minister stay in office for up to 3 months after losing the support of his cabinet, the government, and parliamentary group is unwise and potentially untenable, writes Major, who was Prime Minister from 1990 to 1997 and is from Johnson's Conservative Party. He suggests that Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab take over until a new head of government is found. Or the party could change the selection rules to speed up the process. At a crisis meeting in Downing Street on Wednesday evening, according to media reports, leading cabinet members tried together to urge Johnson to resign, apparently including Home Secretary Priti Patel and the new Finance Minister Nadhim Zahawi, who has only been in office for 24 hours then. Johnson allies Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries, they expressed their support for the Prime Minister. "Somber mood at number 10 Downing Street. Insiders report lots of tears in the building," wrote politics editor Pippa Crerar of the Daily Mirror on Twitter. But Johnson was initially not to be persuaded. He wanted to remain in office and concentrate on the extremely important issues that Britain was facing, several media reported afterwards. According to the Daily Mail, Johnson argued that a resignation would cause chaos and almost certainly complained that the Conservatives would be defeated in the next election. And opposition leader Sir Keir Starmer accused the Prime Minister of putting on a pathetic spectacle. The parliamentary group leader of the Scottish National Party, the SNP, Ian Blackford, called for a new election. The resignations of Ministers Sunak and Javid came minutes after Johnson issued a statement apologising for appointing a Tory politician suspected of sexual harassment as vice whip in Parliament. Chris Pincher resigned from the post late last week after sexually molesting 2 men. It became known that Johnson had already been informed of allegations against Pincher in 2019. The Prime Minister had initially denied this, but then had to admit it and assured that he had forgotten this fact. And meanwhile, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon reiterated her call for independence. It's a relief that Johnson is leaving, Sturgeon told the BBC on Thursday. But more importantly, Scotland needs an alternative to the broken Westminster system, regardless of who succeeds Johnson. Scotland would not want any of these people as Prime Minister, she said. Sturgeon had announced another independence referendum for October 2023. However, it is still unclear whether a vote would be legal. Johnson rejected a second referendum after a majority of Scots voted pro-union in 2014, although the situation was very different than it was in 2016. And Welsh First Minister Mark Drakeford also welcomed Johnson's departure. All four countries need a stable British government, and I'm therefore delighted that the Prime Minister has now done the right thing and agreed to step down, Drakeford tweeted. The politician is a member of the Labour Party, which sits in opposition in the UK Parliament. Johnson's government and his Conservative ruling party have been rocked by a string of scandals in recent months. You got a collection of them from me yesterday. In addition to a donation affair and scandals about abusive party colleagues, the scandal about parties at the seat of government during the corona lockdown weighed particularly heavily. And in early June, Johnson narrowly survived an internal party vote of no confidence. A powerful non-ministerial group known as the 1922 Committee could change party rules, but it's not necessary anymore. But they were thinking about this. And today I have to close the video a little bit differently than usual. 2 days ago I learned that my mother has died in the age of just 68. Knowing that I also have viewers of that age and older, I just want to say today, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and enjoy life with all its soap operas. And I'll see you in my next video.